Well, hello and welcome to everyone here today. Welcome to the 2023 Recognition of the Graduates event here in beautiful Reynolds Coliseum on the lovely campus of the phenomenal North Carolina State University. How's that for an opening statement? Come on. Hey. Thank you. On behalf of Dean Louis Martin Vega and the faculty and staff of the College of Engineering, I relay to all you gathered here a hearty Wolfpack Engineering welcome. And I thank you all for your presence here today. Formed in 1923, this year marks the 100th anniversary of the College of Engineering here at NC State, and we're so excited that you're here during our anniversary year. My name's Jerome Lavelle, and I am the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs here in the College of Engineering. And I must say, looking around at the gathered audience we have for the event today, that this is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most attractive group I've ever seen gathered for an event here at NC State. And I say that in truth, but I have to let you know I will be saying that to the group next year as well, so just so you know. In all seriousness, I sincerely welcome you and all that are gathered here, the families and friends, and I congratulate all of our inductees today and those who will be graduating in the next couple of days. You've all worked very hard to get where you are, and you've achieved great things. And today's ceremony, this event, is about recognizing the power and opportunity that your engineering or computer science degree releases in your life, and the responsibilities that you undertake in holding these degrees. This ceremony represents a public expression on your part to conduct yourself personally and professionally in a manner that brings honor to you, honor to your family, honor to our profession. I thank you and I congratulate you very sincerely for making this public statement, and I invite all gathered here today to give you a big round of applause in support of that decision. Let's give these initiates a big round of applause. Thank you. Before we get to today's induction ceremonies, you'll have an opportunity to hear from a great keynote guest speaker, Dr. Joy Johnson, who I know will inspire you with her messages. Dr. Johnson, could you please stand to be recognized? After Dr. Johnson's message, you'll hear important words from a recent graduate and a member of our Young Alumni Network, Mr. Alex Stone. Alex, could you stand and please be recognized? In addition, participating in the induction ceremony today are Dr. Jasmine Adams, Director of Undergraduate Advising and Computer Science, and Dr. David Parrish, our Assistant Dean in the Office of Academic Affairs. Jasmine and Dave, could you please stand to be recognized as well? I'm also delighted to share we have faculty representatives from each of your programs, students that are here with us today. And faculty, if you could, one at a time, as I call your name, please stand. And we're going to do this by department. Now, students, you can support these people with your outside voice. So, from Biological Engineering, Professor and Department Head, and just announced new Dean of the College of Engineering and Life Sciences, Dr. Gary Fox. We have from Biomedical and Health Sciences Engineering, a joint program with UNC and NC State, Associate Teaching Professor and Associate Director of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Naji Husseini. We have from Chemical Engineering, a Teaching Professor and Director of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Lisa Bullard. From Civil, Construction, and Environmental Engineering, Professor and Department Head, Dr. Jackie Gibson. Previously announced on stage from Computer Science, Director of Undergraduate Advising, Dr. Jasmine Adams. From Electrical and Computer Engineering, did we? Oh, I see, snuck in the back there. Thanks, Dan. Just got in from Boston, right, Dan? Electrical and Computer Engineering Professor and Department Head, Dr. Dan Stansel. From our Fitz Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, Associate Professor Dr. Osman Oslan. From Material Science and Engineering, Professor and Department Head Dr. Don Brenner. From Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Studies Dr. Tarek Ishiki. From Nuclear Engineering, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs, Dr. Jacob Epon, and Assistant Extension Professor and Director of Outreach, Retention, and Engagement, Miss Lisa Marshall. From Paper Science and Engineering, Teaching Professor and Undergraduate Coordinator, Dr. Med Bird. And from Textile Engineering, Professor and Department Head, Dr. Jeff Joins. Could we once again recognize all of our fantastic faculty representatives? Thank you all for being here today. I'd also like to very briefly thank our staff in the College of Engineering, our staff that really helped to make this thing happen today. We have Dr. Kim Roberts, our Director of Enrollment Management, Educational Partnerships, and Dr. Dave Parrish, who will be reading names today. Can we give them a big round of applause? Thank you very much, Kim. Our team in the back who will be processing the students receiving their certificates and their memorabilia as part of this ceremony. I see Dr. Laura Bottomley, Justin Richardson, Linda Hargrove, Kayleen Thomas, and Haley Queen back there. Let's give them a big round of applause. Hey, guys. This is a biggie. These are the folks who really make this happen. Ms. Sherry Bailey and Mr. Jake England Genn, our organizers and supporters. Big them a round of applause. And then all of our students who are here in their ambassador shirts are helping serve as marshals and helping out our engineering ambassadors. Can we give them a big round of applause as well? Okay. So thank you all very, very much. Lastly, in terms of thanks, I would like to thank and recognize all of our guests, our friends, our supporters, those of you who are with us here today. And your presence makes this such a special event. In many cases, you've been supporting these fantastic young people and encouraging them as they've traveled their journey here at NC State toward what we know is a precious and not so easy commodity to attain, which is a degree in engineering and computer science at NC State. These degrees represent a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of personal determination, a lot of grit. And so I ask all the families, guests, and supporters of our initiatives, if you're able to, please stand. And then all of our initiates, let's stand and see if we can turn to our people. Let's give everyone a big round of applause. So if you could all stand, initiates, please stand. Let's give them a big round of applause, all of our initiates. Again, our sincere thanks to all of you for being here today. Now, one final comment before we begin. Astute observers in the audience may have noticed that we have some initiates that are wearing a different colored gown. I say, fear not. This is not some prank from students from Chapel Hill. These two great, lovely ladies, please wave your hands, are students from our fantastic joint NC State UNC Biomedical Engineering program. They're based at UNC Chapel Hill, and so you see their regalia. And I want to recognize you both and sincerely thank you for being here today. As you know, your diploma has both UNC and NC State on the seal. And so we're so happy that you're here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thanks for coming over, ladies. Now, a last couple quick words for our graduates, our inductees. Today is all about you and about celebrating what you've accomplished, but also the attitude and posture that you'll take as you engage in society moving forward. As you prepare to take the obligation of the Order of the Engineer, if you're an engineering student, or the oath of the computer scientist, if you're a computer science student, I hope you'll take a moment to reflect on all the long hours that you've put in over the last years and the hard work, and I hope you know that it's been worth it. Your engineering or computer science degree is a platform for you to do amazing things. Whether you're headed to grad school or entering the workforce or doing some other awesome thing, I hope you feel well equipped to solve problems, to handle new situations, to work in teams to accomplish stated goals, and to do all of this with a spirit of ethics, high character, and remembering the incredible responsibility you have to society and making that available to all people in our world. Now, I mentioned earlier that this year is our 100th anniversary, 100 years of this college doing great things. So we've been doing these great things for a century. And I know that all of you will carry on that incredible legacy. Well, today we have a special treat. Dr. Joy Johnson is joining us, and will share a little bit of her journey and some important thoughts. As she speaks, please remember that she was in your shoes just a few short years ago, ready to graduate, ready to start her career. Like her, I know that you can achieve anything you aspire to do. Now, let me tell you a few things about her, and I'll invite her to come up. Dr. Joy Johnson is a native of Greensboro, North Carolina, and a 2007 graduate of NC State here in the College of Engineering, dual degrees in electrical engineering and computer engineering. She was a Park Scholar during her time here and was awarded an NSF National Nanotech Infrastructure Network Research Fellowship. She's also a 2015 graduate of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, with her doctorate in electrical engineering and computer science. She was an NSF, National Science Foundation Fellow, and an Intel GEM PhD Fellow while she was at MIT, where her research focused on theoretical semiconductor process modeling, inventing environmentally benign fabrication processes and electrochemical engineering systems. And I get tired just thinking about all that work, Joy, so that's fantastic. Following grad school, Joy transitioned to a research physical models job in commercial software, landing mobile development for an MIT-founded music technology startup, and she was a partner in that activity. After leading development of two mobile products at Audio Common, she transitioned to the West Coast to Apple Special Projects Group, where she worked in HW engineering experience prototyping. She's since transitioned back to her research roots in Apple's PPO, that's Panel Process Optics initiative, in emerging technology development, display technology development, as a senior HW engineer manager, where she manages teams of engineers helping to research and develop novel thin film on panel solutions for optical enhancement of Apple's next generation display technologies. Dr. Johnson is generous of her time and her treasure, and has served on NC State University College of Engineering Young Alumni Board and on boards of STEM-related nonprofit entities focused on providing technical research experiences for minorities and women, including the InTech Camp for Girls and iTrek. When not in the lab, you can find Joy running, flying, or spending time with her large family. So please join me in welcoming our 2023 keynote speaker, Dr. Joy Johnson, back to campus. Let me get my stuff out of your way.
All right, that was a lot. So greetings to Dean Lavelle, to the faculty, to the staff, to students, and to our more esteemed guests, our loved ones, friends, tutors, roommates, and partners to whom this degree probably you all would agree you share. There are many ironies about this day. When I found out that Dean Martin Louis Vega was now leaving, I felt very old because I was on the search committee for him when he was coming to NC State. I also remember when there was not a Centennial campus at all. It did not come to be until I was a senior, and we were actually parking on the hill because there was no parking lot. So I think, coming back to campus has been very ironic. And even, where are the ECEs? Let me see the hands. Okay. you guys will get this one. I also remember a time where there were two Professor Oz Turks. There was a he Turk and a she Turk. But I heard now there's only one Turk. But both of them were wise and brilliant, and they both advised me to stop trying to take my first physics class at the same time I was taking ECE 200. So that's the only way I graduated. So I'll keep things short today because I know I'm standing in between you all and a lot of parties, a lot of graduation events, a lot of photos, and I don't want to get in the way. I realize also that there's a lot of highs and lows happening, a lot of really happy feelings of being done with problem sets and labs and WebAssign, but also a lot of fear that beyond this protected space, you'll be by yourself, you'll be in the world. But I'm here to encourage you just a little bit. But I do want to do something that's a little bit the opposite of maybe what Dean Lavelle thought I would do. I'm not going to tell you dream big, I'm not going to tell you reach for the stars, I'm not even going to tell you go out and change the world, or even as Apple's founder, Steve Jobs, would say, go off and build something wonderful. Not gonna tell you to do that. Frankly, if you all, and I think you are since you're about to get the ring, are leaving NC State with a whole engineering or computer science degree, you have done enough. I just want to tell you, you have done enough. You've probably dreamt of lots of things. You've probably taken lots of risk, differential equations, fluid dynamics, data structures, I had to take a knee on that one, inorganic chemistry. You've done enough. But what I do want to talk about is that feeling of not having done enough. I want to talk about nihilism. And what is nihilism? Dr. Cornel West said that nihilism is the lived experience of coping with a life of meaninglessness, hopelessness, and lovelessness. And in my mind, as engineers, you all should know about two stories about how to handle the nihilism that we probably have already faced, sitting in front of a test that you realize you're not ready for, or going to a lab where you realize that really good lab partner didn't show up that day. We've all had that feeling. But I want to talk about two stories about how to cope with that. One considered the first story a tragedy, and the other a triumph, but I think it's the exact opposite. First story is a thesis story. I see a couple master's and PhD students out there. Everybody has a thesis story. You guys definitely don't want to hear mine. So I'm going to share my favorite thesis story, and that one is of astronaut, Dr. Ronald E. McNair. I remember growing up in Greensboro, running around North Carolina A&T State University, where they had a replica of the Space Shuttle Challenger. They had a bust of Dr. McNair outside the College of Engineering. I never heard those early stories, but when I got to MIT, I realized there was a building named after him. It's called Building 37. And at the 100-year anniversary of MIT, 150-year anniversary of MIT, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson told the story of how when Dr. McNair came to MIT to get his laser physics PhD, easy stuff, he was right at the end. He was about where you guys are, but a year out. And all of his doctoral data was gone. And this is at a time where there were no hard drives, no backups, no box, no Dropbox, nothing. He'd lost everything. 2 years worth of data. They said that he never complained. He never accused anyone of stealing the data, which some people thought that they did. He just showed up the next day at Building 37, ready to start over. He focused on the signal, and my electrical engineers know what I'm talking about when I talk about SNR, signal to noise ratio. He focused on the fact that all of those experiments that he had ran were fresh in his mind. All of the outcomes, all of the equations, he had them right at his fingertips. So he started all over, spent 4 months barely leaving the lab, barely seeing his family, and he ended up getting better data, higher statistical significance the second time around. He understood this concept. He focused on the signal. He minimized all the noise of people saying, just give up, take the master's, and go home. And he graduated on time. Of course, we later lost Dr. McNair above the infamous Space Shuttle Challenger, but he didn't leave the world in despair. He never chose nihilism, and neither did the legacy that was left with his family. The McNair Scholar Program, which is also at NC State, it funds 151 institutions around the country. There are many K-12 schools. Again, MIT has a building named after him. There's even a crater on the moon known as the McNair. So when you look back and think about his legacy, none of this would happen had he let that hopelessness, that meaninglessness, and that lovelessness become him. His legacy of love, of science, and of innovation stand today. Now that's the first story. The second story, not so triumphant. But this story is not a thesis story, but it goes a little bit higher. It's a Nobel story. It's a Greek tragedy, I think. We talk about someone called Bill Shockley. And again, sorry, the EEs in the room know who I'm talking about. But Shockley was one of the main theoretical physicists who worked at the storied Bell Labs. He was a team leader. He had two brilliant physicists that he recruited. One, Walter Brattain, could build anything, experimentalist, could make anything out of nothing, and John Bardeen, who was one of the fathers of semiconductors. They were the hands, he was the brain. He was the visionary who knew that beyond the transistor's potential to transform just Bell Labs so that people can make cross-country phone calls, there was a higher order in computing. There was this idyllic lab at Bell Labs, but just as magical as that place was, you had people, you had chemists, you had metallurgists, you had electrical engineers, physicists, all in one place at such a beautiful time after the World War. But he destroyed that magic. The very first time that Brattain and Bardeen were able to get his field effect transistor working, it ended up being a point contact, and he was at home. He wasn't there. The very first time they got it working, he got the phone call, and he was at home. His proximity to the patent and to the invention were forever fixed in time, and he was never the same. Already intense, he stopped working with everyone in the lab. He hid all his notes. He built everything on his own. He had no hope that he could actually collaborate and get any credit. He lost his love for his team, his hope for Bell Labs, and the meaning beyond building a transistor. Then he decided he was actually going to do it on his own. He was going to make it manufacturable, and he was going to mimic the vacuum tube design. And he did. He redrafted the concept, forbidding anyone to help him, and ended up leaving Bell Labs for Silicon Valley. Now, he also left his family, his first wife, his children, and his loved colleagues, leaving the people who had invented the very first transistor and who went on to win the Nobel Prize. Now, he could recruit the best and the brightest, but while he was attending the Nobel ceremony at his labs, which he had called, of course, Shockley Labs, after himself, he found out that his two new hires were leaving and starting their own company. Those two people were Gordon Moore and Bob Noyce, the founders of Intel. Small company, you guys may have known about it. And so when he got back, his lab was empty. Everyone had left. He went around Silicon Valley calling them the traitorous eight, but they ended up building all of the foundational companies in Silicon Valley without him. Again, many people said, yes, he transformed the world, but he destroyed every lab he was a part of. The last piece of his story is the saddest part of his story. He decided to leave engineering and approach a different field of science, eugenics. Eugenics is a fringe set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of the human population. He had learned this theory as he saw Hitler galvanize the Nazi movement after World War II. He used his standing as a Nobel laureate and as a leader in the scientific world to promote the idea of hereditary and race-based intelligence, claiming that less intelligent people should be prevented from having children via voluntary sterilization. And he also went on to become a professor at Stanford behind this particular thought process. We talked about SNR with respect to what Dr. McNair did, but that is also what exactly a transistor is for those in the room who aren't electrical engineers. It's a semiconductor device that's used to amplify and switch electrical signals and power. Unfortunately, Dr. Shockley's fame and his nihilistic view of those around him amplified his bigotry, amplified his disrespect, both to his children, who he was estranged from, his Nobel colleagues, and the world of those around him. It is said that when he died, his children found out about it in the newspaper because he never spoke to them when he moved to California. He let hopelessness, meaninglessness, and lovelessness become him. Now, we look back, the Challenger or the transistor, which is the true tragedy? Yes, you can replace a vacuum tube with something as Nobel-worthy as a transistor, but you cannot replace the quality of the interactions and relationship you've built here at NC State. In the labs, in the dorms, in the sorority and fraternity houses, in the classrooms, at Tally, which apparently is amazing now and has Chick-fil-A. The integrity and the love that are foundational to humanity and human endeavor are irreplaceable. So I'm here to tell you there's hope, But don't worry about that hope being and making it to the #1 graduate school or a Fortune 500 company or even making your first million. Focus on your next conversation, your next interaction. Focus on making that next interaction the best one, whether it's with the folks in transportation to pay off those last parking tickets. Don't be like me and get to graduation and you haven't done it. Or even if it's with those last conversations with your colleagues who you definitely see later in life. I challenge all of you, how will you change your lived experience from nihilism to nirvana? How will you engineer a life that amplifies the good, the wonder, the best this world has to offer? It's your choice, but remember, you are valued, you are loved, and the world needs you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy, for those inspiring words. Let's give her a big round of applause again. Thank you very much, Joy. Wow. Pride of Greensboro. Our next speaker, Mr. Alex Stone, is a member of our Young Alumni Group and a recent graduate. He has some special words he wants to share. In way of background, Alex is a Raleigh native and a 2015 graduate of mechanical engineering, and he was an NC State valedictorian. His Wolfpack roots run deep. He's a third-generation alumnus. Spent time at Harris Nuclear Plant with Duke Energy before joining the HIPP Design and Consulting Group in 2018, where he serves currently as a project leader. He's a member of our Engineering Young Alumni Advisory Board and has served on the College Relations Committee for the last 4 years. He's been a strong volunteer within our college, serving as a young alum mentor during the pandemic. We started a program called Engineering Interest Circles, and Alex was importantly involved in that. He hosts events for recent graduates, and he's been a judge for our, remember this day, Freshman Engineering Design Day, First Year Engineering Design Day. In his free time, Alex enjoys cycling and spending time with his wife, Anna, who's also a Wolfpacker. So please join me in welcoming Alex to the podium. Alex.
Thank you for the introduction, Dr. Lavelle, and congratulations to each of you for getting to this point in your college career. Last night at about 7 p.m., I rolled off the Engineering Foundation's Young Alumni Advisory Board, or YAB, and out of my position as chair of the College Relations Committee. But that's not where this story starts. My journey at NC State began in 2011 when I arrived on campus hoping to join the BME department on an engineering path to med school. After 4-ish years later, a few internships, and plenty of twists and turns, I graduated in the fall of 2015 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I was inducted into the Order of the Engineer on Friday, December 4th, 2015. After graduation, I jumped headlong into my career, first as a nuclear design engineer with Duke Energy at the Harris Nuclear Plant, and then over to the private sector at HIP Design and Consulting in 2018. I joined HIP as a mechanical designer, where I would lay out ductwork and piping in 2D and 3D for various life science projects in the greater Raleigh area. I moved into an engineering lead role following licensure as a professional engineer in February of 2020 and transitioned into my current role as project leader at the beginning of 2022. Since graduating from NC State, I've crawled around a nuclear plant, worked on machines that are big by huge, and designed the facility to manufacture a plant-based COVID vaccine and managed the design of over $200 million worth of pharmaceutical lab and advanced manufacturing projects. I've supported and managed teams of people ranging from interns to young professionals to industry veterans. Throughout this journey, I have found both college and career share a common thread: relationships. In college, relationships can mean a friend to talk to, a study group to prepare with, or a helping hand in a time of need. In career, relationships can mean a new business opportunity, a successful project, or a satisfied client. When I was first introduced to YAB in late 2018, I was intrigued by the thought of forming new relationships with other young professionals in the College of Engineering. I didn't have a bank account flush with cash, but I had something almost as valuable as any 26-year-old, the perspective of a young professional and a willingness to give my time to the college that helped launch my career. I joined the College Relations Committee to build connections with current students and young alumni, connections that I hoped would lead to deeper, longer, and more meaningful relationships with the college. And through YAB, I was able to progress the Engineering Foundation's goal of connecting alumni with opportunities that lead to generosity, generosity with time, talents, or resources. I took the helm as chair of the College Relations Committee in January 2021 and have been reminded over and over again that giving back to the college can be as easy as offering your perspective to a student, something that's totally free of charge. Make no mistake, the college needs generous donors to support the nearly 2/3 of the annual budget that doesn't come from state appropriations, and Day of Giving is a great way to get involved. But that doesn't happen overnight for many young professionals getting their feet on the ground in a new career. Consider first doing something that's totally free to you, being an industry judge at Fed, mentoring a student, joining YAB, just offering your perspective to current students that have questions like, how do I negotiate a job offer? Or what's the best interview strategy for an entry-level position? So now I've served both of my 2-year terms on the Young Alumni Advisory Board, and I'm asking myself, what's next? Just like many of you may be doing this afternoon. I don't exactly know what the next step looks like for my relationship with the College of Engineering, but I do know the story won't end here. And I hope your relationship with the College of Engineering won't end here either. If any of you are interested in learning more about YAB, come find me afterwards, or come talk to a few of us with shirts on, hanging around, or look us up on the College of Engineering website. Congratulations again, and welcome to the Order of the Engineer and Pledge of the Computing Professional. Go Pack.
Thanks again, Alex. Another big round of applause for Alex and everything he's doing. Okay, inductees, it's time. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You're like, Dr. Lavelle, it's been time. What are you talking about? It's time now for you to hear a short history of the Order of the Engineer and the Pledge of the Computing Professional, to recite your respective obligation or oath, and then to march across the stage, receive some congratulations, and for you to then sign your certificate and to receive your ring or your lapel pin. Assisting with this part of the induction is Dr. Jasmine Adams, the Director of Undergraduate Advising and Computer Science, and Dr. David Parrish, Assistant Dean of our Office of Academic Affairs. Dr. Parrish will lead us through the Order of the Engineer obligation first, and then Dr. Adams will follow with the Pledge of the Computing Professional. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Parrish.
Well, hello, inductees. Let me offer my sincere congratulations to all of you. I know it's been a long road. This part of the induction ceremony relates to inductees with degrees in engineering. I will read a brief history of the order, and then we'll ask all engineering students to stand, and together we will recite the obligation printed in your program. First, the history. The Order of the Engineer was begun in 1926 when our engineering counterparts in Canada recognized the special obligation of engineers to one another, to the profession, and to the public they served. They decided to recognize those willing to subscribe to the Code of Ethics for Engineers by inviting them to join what they called the Order of the Engineer. Based on the model of our Canadian counterparts, the Order of the Engineer was established in the United States in 1970. As you accept into the order, you will receive a steel ring to be worn on the little finger of your working hand. The history of the ring ceremony relates to the construction of a bridge across the St. Lawrence River in Quebec in the early 1900s. The bridge required several years to complete construction, and in August 1907 it collapsed, becoming an ugly tangle of structural steel, tragically enclosing the bodies of 75 workers. After an investigation, construction was started again in September 1916, and as the center span was raised, it fell, resulting in another 13 fatalities. The bridge was built a third time without incident. In 1917, it is still in use today. Needless to say, this was a traumatic project. However, it spawned a movement. Legend has it that one of the twisted iron pipes from the first bridge failure was sliced into rings and worn by engineers on that project to remind them of their solemn responsibilities. After accepting the obligation, you will be presented with a steel ring. You will wear the engineer's ring on the small finger of your working hand so that it will remind you every time you sign a set of plans or contract documents or design specifications. It will remind you of your obligation as an engineer. The success of the projects that we as engineers work on and the lives of people involved in those projects may depend on your engineering design. The ring you receive is a symbol of the strength and continuity of our profession. The engineer ring says to all it sees, here's an engineer, a person with special technical knowledge and a publicly avowed dedication to their profession and the public it serves. You must accept that obligation seriously and with pride in yourself and your profession. Please consider the words of the obligation carefully and remember always that our special knowledge carries with it the obligation to serve humanity with complete sincerity, honesty, and integrity. We can never anticipate all the challenges we shall face as we work on our designs, but we are honor-bound to foresee all that we can and keep the public welfare uppermost in our minds. So now I invite all inductees for the Order of Engineers to stand and recite the obligation with me. You can find it inside your program. Here we go. I am an engineer. In my profession, I take deep pride. To it, I owe solemn obligation. As an engineer, I pledge to practice integrity and fair dealing, tolerance and respect, and to uphold devotion to the standards and dignity of my profession, conscious always that my skill carries with it the obligation to serve humanity by making the best use of the earth's precious wealth. As an engineer, I shall participate in none but honest enterprises. When needed, my skill and knowledge shall be given without reservation for the public good. In the performance of duty and in fidelity to my profession, I shall give my utmost. Congratulations, inductees. Let's give them a hand. Take your seats.
Good evening, initiates. I would like to offer my sincere congratulations to each and every one of you. My part in this ceremony relates to initiates with a degree in computer science. I will read a brief history of the pledge, and then I will ask all computer science students to stand, and together we will recite the oath printed in your program. In many modern professions, the act of joining the profession is accompanied by a rite of passage, symbolizing the entry of the initiate into a position of grave responsibility. The initiate often takes an oath, pledging to act both ethically and morally as a member of that profession. The initiate is often presented with a visible symbol of that profession as a reminder of their responsibility to their profession. In 2007, inspired by the awesome example of the Order of the Engineer, individuals at Ohio Northern University and the University of South Florida created similar organizations for graduates of their respective computing programs. After interest in such an organization grew at other institutions, the Pledge of the Computing Professional was developed by an international team of 17 computing professionals. The organization held its first induction ceremonies in May of 2011. We, in the College of Engineering, are extremely proud of the designation as North Carolina Node Number 1 of the Pledge of the Computing Professional. What that means is that our program was the first in our state to recognize and implement this important ceremony for our graduates. Through this public rite of passage, we foster professional pride, moral obligation, and ethical responsibility in all graduates of the computing disciplines. The initiates who are present here today will soon stand to take this oath. After the ceremony, there will be no organizational meetings to attend, nor will there be any dues to be paid. However, members of this organization are expected to keep the oath and to uphold and honor their chosen profession. In addition, members are expected to honor and cherish their certificate and lapel pins that each of them will receive today as visible reminders of this oath through their professional careers. I invite the initiates for the Pledge of the Computing Professional to stand and recite the oath with me, which is found in your programs. I am a computing professional. My work as a computing professional affects people's lives, both now and into the future. As a result, I bear moral and ethical responsibilities to society. As a computing professional, I pledge to practice my profession with the highest level of integrity and competence. I shall always use my skills for the public good. I shall be honest about my limitations, continuously seeking to improve my skills through lifelong learning. I shall engage only in honorable and upstanding endeavors. By my actions, I pledge to honor my chosen profession. Congratulations, initiates. You may be seated.
Fantastic. Please join me in thanking Dr. Adams and Dr. Parrish for that part of the ceremony. Thank you very much. To proceed with the induction ceremony, we'll now call the names of each initiate. As you will then cross the stage and receive some congratulations. And then you proceed to the back of the hall where you'll sign your certificate and receive your ring or lapel pin. So you'll come across the stage, you'll go down the back and see the folks in the back. Then you will come, after you sign your certificate and get your ring or lapel pin, just come down the middle aisle and find a seat. And if you're confused by any of these quite difficult instructions, you may ask one of our marshals who can assist you. So at this point in time, I invite the first row of initiates to stand up, please. First row, just the first row. Turn to your right and follow the marshal. 1, 2, 3, go. So second row, guess who's next? And then subsequent rows. Just follow the marshals and you'll stand as a row, turn to your right, and then march around. Now, while this group is walking around, we have a special treat this year. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Joy Johnson, a proud graduate of both electrical and computer engineering here at NC State, will also be inducted here today. She didn't know anything about that. So Dr. Johnson, I invite you to come forward. I have your certificate. You will proceed to the front of the line and come across the stage first. So Dr. Johnson, let's give her a round of applause. She doesn't know anything about this.
From the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Dr. Joy Johnson. And now the initiates from the Department of Biological and Agricultural Engineering. Aaron Kartner. Morgan Crutchfield. Emma Blythe. Grace Thomas. Julia Kenkel. Zoe Chavis. Atherva Dixit. Danielle Dantzler.
The inductees for biomedical engineering: Justin Shedovy, Dylan Rosebrook, Taylor Craddy, William Wyman, Raymond Villalobos, Dikwa Musa, Caroline Chambers, Zoe Levine, Manuela Harb, Needy Patel, Abigail Schweitzer, Lydia Wong, Audra Mosley, Hannah Flores, Anna Kate Watson, Leslie Way, Michael Clark, Tyler Adcock, Andrew Marshall, James Parzignat, Sarah Goldbach, McKenna Estridge, Alexandra Middleton, Lindsay Hill, Chloe Hincher, Stephen Thompson, Ari Goulder, Matt Powers, Brian Lineback, Stephen Demetrius, Manashi Krishnakumar, Samhitha Gali, Shivani Ayagari, Abina Namalashanthan, Garza Ramos Norada.
The initiates from the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering: Abdallah Abu Muais, Noha Zayen, Zachary Whitaker. Tommy Sade. Jackson Willett. Trevor McGuire. Timothy Fortunato. Shrivance Moretti. Andrew Burley. Elizabeth Vampola. Emma Starnes. Hannah Perkinson. Taylor Martin. Casey Loudermilk. Olivia Nasrallah. Andrew Siffenthone. Jonathan Falso. Caitlin Morton. Genevieve Gauthier. Kevin Williamson. Colin Byrne. Jake Minsforth. Chesson Grant. Audrey Gersh. Allison McGinnis. Jack Pearsall. Jace Karsten. Emily Watts. Sarah Costello. McKenna Crummy. Sarah Tarada. Tabitha Pickering. Daniel Spain. Annie Chin. Tyler Layden. Thakar Malik. Who is actually from the computer engineering department. Back to chemical. Aiden Moore. Wynn. Christina Wynn. Luna Wang. Megan Anderson. Mega Gongretti. Arthi Bothe. Akansha Pandi. John Calabretta. Colin Scanlon. Jared Peterson. Lillian Wynn. Max Johnson. Chase Hall.
Now the inductees for civil, construction, and environmental engineering. Timothy Braxton Powell. Tyler Galloway. Clay Birch. Ezra Prophet. Matthew West. Carlton Hall. Harrison McDowell. Israel Manley. Ian Hubertus. Michael Hinson. Will Ash. Alexander Abrams. Leah Gottlieb. Gabriella Piero. Jacob Patt. Grayson Shackelford. Zoe West. Mitchell Cross. Osmar Sanchez. Jarius Lassiter. Eric Skinner. Sydney Richmond. Juan Orozco. Cecilia Sanchez. Matthew Modishard. Nathaniel Kurtz. Vishal Rendave. Ryan Pitzinger. Morgan Jones. Benjamin Kintzner. Andrew Healy. Jesse Culp. Evan Dulcus. Ella Rollinger. Maribel Havayana. Savannah Taylor. Yeah, good to see you. Michael Rayner. Juniper Walter Egger. Anna Settlemeyer. Caitlin Zick. Ting Ting Lin. Kendon Gann. James Culp. Michael Blumenstock. Eleanor Neer. Ling Zhang. Julia Maddox. Lindsay Starnes. Caleb Villa. Haley Sicknick. Elizabeth Bates. Rachel Schmidt. Jacob Wines. Haig Galen. Mitch Edney. Daniel Reyes. Emily Rittberger. Jacob Jane. Sydney Kersanti.
From the Department of Computer Science, Jing Huang. Simon Oliveros. Tristan Mullins. Isaac Hughes. Kevin Bowie. Harini Mahesh. Molly Sun. Marcus Kim. Rishi Bhatta. Aditya Konidena. Neil Patel. Casey Johnson. Evan Weisner. Matthew Martin. Casey Green. Kieran Jacob. Elston Boltonsheen. Matthew Deal. Cameron Insee. Thomas Chen. Joel Johnson. Katarina Hicks. Matthew Lewis. James Brooks. Tiffany Truong. Logan Baldwin. Anaga Janyala. Chitra Srinivasan. Maya Patel. Elliot Schultz. Micah Sargent. Darren Gonzalez. Bryce Helms. Jose Garcia Gomez. Jonah Gabriel Michael.
The inductees for the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering: Nathan Curry. Jacob Ruth. Holly Grant. Ishan Pan. Richmond Moore. Alexander Johnson. Antonia Dingman. Zachary Taylor. Zach Miles. Kripa Shriyam. Okay. Dheeraj Panam. Byron Chi. Jacob Higgins. Garrett Bennett. Sherry Kim. Samuel Corvey. Margaret Martin. Vinay Vasudev. That's your first name? Saravanan Paramusiam. Rajesh Manadi. Petrakowski. Cassidy Petrakowski. Caleb Wheeler. Seth Pierce. Nathan Cohen. Cameron Fisher. Gabriella Smith. Chloe Haas. Giovanni Ortiz Anglero. Vincent Allen. John Coward. Gavin Sexton. Ryan Ficken. Catherine Deniskowski.
From the Department of Paper Science Engineering. It says paper science. Dr. Bird, you're being called. Jessica Bay. Matthew Klasa. Jenny Wynn. Anvita Punazkar. From the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. Bailey Walston. Sammy Eason. Mackenzie Marino. Addison Davis. Sydney Schaffner. Isaac Russell. Rebecca Sumrell. Emma Johnson. Lucas Mallison. Jonathan Moore. Klaus Matthews. Amrutha Amarnath. Caroline Baldoff. Tabitha Garner. Kendra Canagetta. Chip Martin. Andy Guo. Rena Davila. Suzanne Sumexic. Taylor White. Zachary Horton. Caleb Brewer. Nathan Dubbs. Aaron Habercorn. Hazim Zbi. Faith Hefner. Davis Hoover. Megan Rogers.
The inductees to the Department of Material Science Engineering. Dylan Kotecha. Brenna Tryon. Temi Dio Ajaza. Ryan Ording. Isabella Di Cristofaro. Grant Blankenbeckler. Jenna Kesey. Jacob Vandermeulen. Whatever. I'm a pro. The inductees from the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. Daniel Jarman. David Carnes. Grace Alabaster. George Carroll. Robert Staub. Kyle Nielsen. Kevin Zhang. Nicholas Violosi. Okay. Joshua Vandermeulen. Sonol Nagaranthal. Matthew Connor. Brendan Glass. Julian Migliaccio. Barsanti D'Agostini. Pedro Matos de Sina e Silva. Stephen Sabo. J.W. Mason. Meredith Patterson. Benjamin Lewis. Andrew Burgess. Isaac Mail. That's last name. Jackson Corigliano. Carter Wong. Arnold Cortez Gonzalez. Jane Cheng Lu, Evan Rayner, Ethan Cam, Michael McKenna, Andrew Kreider, Thomas Dow, Zach Knight, Matthew Rouse, Reed Dempsey, Shiv Patel, Justin Cooper Williams, Colin Tart, Allie Henneberry, Ania Nanakumaran, Dina Gorodetsky, Alondra Martinez Arroyo, Guyon Zoom, Young Yu Huan, Maya Clinton, Emily Wolf, Jackson Herndon, Andrew Dadown, Cole Martin, Jordan Parrott, Cameron Wineset, Nicholas Bader, Jason Smith, Ethan Garrett, Harper McCraw, Brian Pierce, Zachary St. Pierre, Manav Madhar Mehta, Raul Patti, Finan Lynch, Amjad Al-Afi, Michael Petruni, Katie Griffin, Pendergrass Samantha, Riley Harrison, Genevieve Fortier, Brendan Mueller, Joel Reynolds, Dominic Gong, Clark Phipps, Jason Jimenez, Jacob Ingalls, Nicholas Yelverton, Brendan Mulholland. Jonas Forsberg. Jake O'Brien. Zachary Marshall. Alexander Edkin. Corinne Mao. Colby Shepler. Obadeli Akan. Gavin Pierce. Mason Strepa. Cooper Hageman. Garrett Inman. Michelin Seal. Madeline Philpy. Suriana Fayad. Preston Andrews. David Horn. Kunal Sabu. Katie Lawhern. Jillian Shivery. Dylan Snar. Christina Lasden.
From the Department of Nuclear Engineering, Alexandra Akins. From the Department of Textile Engineering, Morgan Mace. Powell Braddock. Sierra Figurado.
Always got a time for a selfie. Always got time for a selfie. Okay, looks like everybody's back from the table. It was pointed out to someone who has better vision than me that I missed someone back at the table, a very important person. I have to confess to you that my vision is not as good as it used to be. I recently had one of those birthdays that ends with a 0, and it has been terrible turning 30. I'll tell you that. It's been horrible. But Miss Angelita Daniels, our Assistant Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, is back there. So Angie, thank you. Let's give Angie a big round of applause. Okay, well, we talk a lot about engineering family here at NC State, and we have over 11,000 current students in the college and about 75,000 living engineering and computer science alumni. So family is very important to us, and students, I know that you know when you're in the throes of trying to pass your engineering computer science classes, your classmates are sometimes closer to you than family. And today we have some very special family members that I want to recognize. We all know the past couple of years, the substantial societal challenge that the COVID-19 virus placed on our society. And one of the implications was that we were not able to hold this event for the graduates in 2020 and 2021. And we have some of those folks who come back to campus to participate in this event today. And I'd like to invite everyone to join me in a round of applause for these special family members who are here as part of that group. So thank you all. I want all of you to remember that regardless of what you're facing in life, you all forever will be part of our NC State College of Engineering family. We are today and forever will be very proud of you, and I want to invite all of you, and you heard Alex's great words, to stay connected to this college. We really would love to have you connected and stay connected with this college. There's no doubt you're going to excel in all you do, and there's no doubt that each and every one of you will go out into the world and make it a better place because of the people that you are. You are NC State people. You are College of Engineering people. You are Wolfpack people, and we are very proud of you. So ladies and gentlemen, parents and grandparents and supporters and gathered guests, faculty, staff, our support team, I present to you the May 2023 induction class of the Order of the Engineer and the Pledge of the Computing Professional in the College of Engineering. Applause, please. So congratulations, guys. Congratulations. This is a special day, and on behalf of our faculty and staff and the whole engineering family, I want to just congratulate you. And again, thank you for your public profession, that all this represents. You inspire us all. Again, I'd like to thank Dr. Joy Johnson, Mr. Alex Stone, Dr. Adams, and Dr. Parrish, and all the representatives, everyone there. Thank you so much. And thank all of you for coming and making this such a special event with your presence here. Sincere thanks to all of you. One last round of applause before we walk out of here, everyone. Okay, in closing, a reminder to everyone that we have a reception next door at the Tally Student Center. So families and guests, in terms of logistics, if you could go out the front of the building, and then off to your left is where the reception is, and your special person can meet you out there. Initiates, almost time to go. So here's your logistics. Everyone's going to stand up at once, and then we'll go out from the back. Just file into the center aisle, two by twos, and head out. We're going to go out to the right, down this hallway, and shoot you out right by Tally Student Center outside, and then you can meet with your folks out there. Okay, it's now time to go, and I ask all inductees, please stand. Let's cue up the music. Congratulations, best of wishes to all of you, and go Wolfpack!